If I threw a live grenade in front of you right now, what would you do? Would you run, duck, scream? How do you decide what to do when there is no time to think? What's for sure is that you aren't going to just sit there. If you want to survive, you should probably run far, dive for cover, shield your head. Nobody needs to teach you that. These are rules of thumb, heuristics that humans use to make choices under pressure. Now imagine you wanted to formalize those instincts by translating it into code. This problem is as old as video games themselves, and it's what gave birth to the entire field of game AI. I bring up the grenade because that exact situation shows up in a real game, and it breaks the AI. To better understand why, we need to rewind and look at how game AI evolved. Up to the mid-70s, games are overwhelmingly multiplayer. Look at Pong, Tennis for Two, Space War. But technology improves and suddenly games can tell stories. And within maybe just a few years, the single-player genre explodes. Wait, single-player? For people at the time, this is a bizarre concept. Games are played with others, so if there's no human opponent, then who are you actually playing against? The answer is the game itself. Today we call them NPCs, or simply AI. Powered by a microprocessor, Space Invaders and Galaxian can have enemies that actually react and difficulty that scales. But the game that really shows what's possible is Pac-Man. Blinky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde, aka the Ghost Gang, each have their own distinct AI personalities. Blinky is the chaser. He targets Pac-Man's current position directly. Pinky is the ambusher. She aims 4 tiles ahead to cut him off. Inky is the flanker. He calculates a vector between himself and Blinky to trap Pac-Man from the side. And Clyde is definitely the wild card, acting like Blinky from a distance, but when he gets too close, he retreats to his corner. Plus, when Pac-Man eats a power pellet, the whole system shifts. Ghosts stop chasing and start fleeing. This switch is called a finite state machine, where each ghost can exist in one of several states and transitions based on the game's events. It's a mathematical model that becomes fundamental to game AI moving forward, so just keep it in mind. My point is that none of this is smart. In fact, the ghosts are so far from optimal that it's kind of perfect. Game AI isn't about making a smart opponent, it's about making a believable one. And when the AI disappears into the experience, just know that it's doing its job. However, these rules only work as long as the game stays predictable. And as you'd imagine, games didn't stay like that for long. By the mid-80s, game designers want richer worlds with more dynamic interactions. Forget mazes. Now we're dealing with dungeons, cities, forests, branching paths, day and night cycles. Patterns alone won't cut it. AI has to grow fast in multiple directions all at once. And in one decade, single player goes from this to this. Then in 1993, Doom. This game sets a new bar for the industry. Up to this point, AI systems have been scattered. Finite state machines, rule-based behavior. Doom doesn't just pick one and run with it. They use all of them in tandem and it works. Each enemy operates on a finite state machine. They start idle until you fire your gun. They hear it and switch to an alert state, searching for the source. If they spot you, they transition to the chasing state. If you get close enough, they switch to attacking. And if they take any damage, they flinch. Every transition makes the field game reactive and alive. Keep in mind, there are 30 distinct enemy types, each with their own custom behavior logic. Side note, this system actually works so well that it creates emergent behavior, where enemies don't just react to you, but to each other. So if an imp accidentally hits a demon with a fireball, the demon fights back. It's an unintended consequence of simple AI systems interacting. So we've got sensory triggers, internal states, and even emergent behavior. But it's what Doom doesn't have. that sets up the grenade problem. Take a closer look at the enemies. Their movement is off, and it all comes down to the game's implementation of pathfinding. It sounds simple at first, but the more complex your environment gets, the more expensive your calculation becomes. And since the game has to redo this every time something moves, for every NPC all at the same time, things get expensive fast. Doom's developers decide not to bother with pathfinding and rely on map design that naturally guides the enemies to move straight towards the player, which brings us to...
Let me buy you a drink.
Half-Life releases in 1998 and blows Quake 2 out of the water, which at this point was the pinnacle of the FPS genre. Unlike Quake 2, Half-Life has an actual story, NPCs, and a sophisticated AI system. Valve takes the same idea that Pac-Man ran on, the Finite State Machine, and turns it into gold. Every AI character knows what state they're in, but unlike Doom's simple transitions, Half-Life uses dozens of conditions to track what the AI is experiencing in real time. NPCs can see when you take cover. They can listen for footsteps. Scientists react to smells like dead bodies.
Do you smell what I smell?
Enemies track emotions like hate, fear, or hostility towards specific characters. If you accidentally hit a friendly Barney once, he becomes suspicious. Do it again, he remembers that too and becomes hostile. All of this feeds into Half-Life's behavior system, where small tasks combine into actions based on what the AI perceives and remembers. But one of the biggest changes that players immediately notice is how enemies traverse the world. Unlike Doom, Half-Life uses a node graph for pathfinding. Navigation nodes are placed throughout the map, and the game links together nodes that have a clear path between them. This forms a network the AI can navigate. Different creatures use different node maps. For example, headcrabs crawl through vents, giant monsters through wide passages, each calculating the shortest route through its own network. Now let's talk about that grenade. Remember at the beginning, I asked what you'd do if I threw a grenade at you? We said you'd run, maybe dive, maybe take cover. Either way, you'd follow general rules of thumb. And Half-Life's AI follows the same instinct. When you, the player, throw a grenade, enemies run a danger response program and immediately try to find cover using the node graph. But during playtesting, Valve discovers a weird problem. Let's say the player throws a grenade at a group of Marines in a tight space. For some reason, the pathfinding algorithm can't find a valid escape route for all of them. Maybe the safe nodes are too far. Maybe the Marines are blocking the path. Either way, whenever this happens, the game AI has a meltdown. The Marines get super erratic, shuffling in circles, repeatedly trying to find cover and failing. Then the grenade just explodes and kills them all. This looked extremely dumb. All that sophisticated AI, the perception, the memory, the navigation, and one grenade in a weird spot completely breaks the AI. There was also another bug where an NPC would throw a grenade only for it to bounce off a wall and land back at their own feet. It's a mistake that even players make, but the AI would just stand there and get blown up. To a developer, it might look like a small issue, but apparently it took playtesters completely out of the immersion. Valve needed to fix this. Rather than redesigning their whole AI system, which would take a lot of money and time, they chose a much simpler option. Remember in Pac-Man when I said the AI was praised not because it was complex, but because it disappeared into the experience? Valve asked the same question we started with, but with a small twist. What would you do if you couldn't escape a grenade? You'd panic, freeze, yell, and that's exactly what they made the AI do. When a grenade bounced back at a soldier, he crouched, covered his head, and yelled, "Oh no!" with a face of surprise. It's not the smartest decision, but it feels human, and it even adds a bit of humor. And instead of the NPCs bugging out when they couldn't find an escape route, they just crouched down. And just like that, the bug disappears, and the player feels like they've outsmarted the AI. So you might ask, Why make a whole video on a basic solution to a grenade throw? Because there's an important lesson here, something that I think the game industry constantly forgets. Right now, everybody is obsessed with machine learning, LLMs, agents. I get it. Video games were only able to get to this point due to advancements in technology. But when we use this kind of tech, are we really making the game experience better? Or is it just cool? Is this a real innovation, or is this a gimmick to attract investors? Dr. Lars Liden, one of the AI engineers behind Half-Life, said it perfectly. Creating an NPC that can beat a human player is relatively easy. Creating one that can lose to the player in a challenging manner is difficult. The goal of a sophisticated AI is not to kill the player, but to add tension, to control the pace of the game, and to add personality to the NPCs. Simple solutions are often better and more entertaining than complex artificial intelligence. Read that last part again. Simple solutions are often better than complex AI. Don't get me wrong. There are games that push AI complexity forward and do it well. Fear and its goal-oriented action planning. Halo 2's behavior trees.
Please, no hurt. Me like elite.
The Nemesis system in Shadow of Mordor, the entirety of Red Dead 2. All these games push game AI forward while making sure that the complexity is in service of the player, not the studio. I am all for pushing the limits of video game technology, but never at the cost of what makes games fun to play. So at the end, if I threw a live grenade at you, you should probably run. And if you can't escape, honestly, just crouch down and cover your head. If you made it to this point, thank you for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. This video was much more experimental and I haven't posted in a while. Please check out my channel if you haven't. If you guys enjoyed it, or if you didn't enjoy it, let me know why. I'd actually be really interested. Yeah, that's about everything. Thank you so much. See ya.